Let's talk about breathing and breathing for singing. It's funny because we are breathing all day, every day, yet when it comes to singing, it can sometimes be a bit of a minefield. Singers tend to overthink it, which causes a lot of excess tension in the body and stress, which then makes it a little bit harder. So yes, you can build up your breathing technique and have a better understanding about how to connect to your breath. So I'm going to give you a bit more information about what's actually happening physically when we breathe, and then some tips of how to understand the breath in your body a little bit more. So one of the most widely used phrases that we hear is sing from the diaphragm. Hopefully we're not hearing this anymore because actually it doesn't really make sense and is quite confusing. We can't sing from our diaphragm because our vocal cords are up here. We can't breathe into our diaphragm because air goes in the lungs. So what's actually going on? So the diaphragm sits just under the lungs. It's actually a little bit higher than you think. It separates the upper and the lower torso. So above the diaphragm, we have the lungs, and below we have the internal organs. So when you breathe in, the diaphragm contracts and moves down, and this allows the lungs to move and be able to fill up with air. When we exhale, which then might become our singing phrase, the diaphragm just then passively moves back up. So we don't really have any sensory feedback in the diaphragm. We're feeling all the muscles around the diaphragm at work. So often when we breathe in, people say, breathe into the belly, into the diaphragm, because we do see this movement. But actually that's just your organs really moving to get out of the way so that your lungs can fill up with air. Breathing's quite cool because it's one of the only things that we can consciously control, but we also unconsciously do it all day as well. So how do we consciously control our breathing? We can control the rate at which the diaphragm moves back up in order to maybe extend our exhale or extend our phrase. But we're not actually saying, okay, I'm going to switch on my diaphragm, because remember, it's just relaxing as it moves back up. The muscles that you're using are actually your core muscles. But remember, we don't want to grip. And as I said, at the end of this video, I'll give you some exercises to how you can feel these core muscles working and doing it on its own without you trying to switch on and do too much. So when we do inhale, we really do want to be able to release the core muscles so that the diaphragm can descend and we can get a good breath. However, also we need to remember that our lungs are the ones that are filling up with air. So our ribs need to be flexible and move. And it's really nice to have a visual of when you breathe in, you feel the diaphragm, well, you don't feel it because we don't have sensory feedback. You imagine that the diaphragm is moving down, the lungs are filling up, and also the ribs are moving out. We actually feel a lot in our back as well. So when we breathe in, our external intercostal muscles are helping to move our ribs out. And as we breathe out, our internal intercostal muscles are helping to move the ribs back in. So when we're breathing, we actually really don't want much movement or any movement in the shoulders or the chest. When we're young, we often go to fill up with air, but a lot of these muscles in the shoulders are connected to the neck, which is very closely linked to the larynx. We don't want too much going on in this area. So by doing some calming breathing practices, we can try and release these muscles, trying to keep the shoulders, the arms relaxed, and just explore breath in the body, really. So here I will just show you a few different exercises that you can try just to have a better understanding of breath and how it feels in your body. One of the best ways to feel your breath kind of just working on its own is to lie on your back. So if you lie on your back with your feet flat on the floor, knees bent, keeping the neck long, you could even put a book under the back of your head if that helps to keep your neck long in a good posture. And then just slowly breathe in and out through the nose. Try and slow down your inhales and your exhales. Bring the hands to the belly, to the ribs. Feel what's going on in your back as you breathe in against the floor. What do you feel? Just become aware of these sensations. When you're lying on your back and you're slowing your breathing down, it's highly unlikely that your shoulders will be moving up or your core muscles will be super engaged. So you will start to feel more of a released full inhale. To add on to this, I'd then encourage you to add some voiceless consonants to your exhale. S or f or sh. This will help you to feel the core muscles supporting the air as it comes out of the body. You can then do the same exercise with the voiceless consonants, but standing. Again, think about your alignment. Bring your hands again to different parts of the body. You might feel it more in the ribs. What's going on in the chest? Do you feel much movement? The back, the belly, and try that voiceless consonant exercise once more. You could also try the exercise with the voiceless consonants in a standing forward fold or in a tabletop position on your hands and knees. Again, this just brings awareness to the muscles and tends to free up other parts of the body that you might find move when you're standing. If you think that might interest you, I've also got a yoga practice video where we do explore the breath with those sounds in different postures. You can also then add voice to your consonant or a vowel sound, but something steady at first. As long as you're not someone that has too much shoulder tension, it can also be interesting to do the exercise with your hands over your head. This helps again to feel more of the movement in the ribs. So starting with the voiceless consonants, and just become aware of the sensations. As I said, it's nice to have that visual of the diaphragm or the lungs or the ribs as you're breathing in. So maybe you use your hands to connect this. If we're thinking about movement in the ribs, as you inhale, the hands can come out. Exhale, they can come in. And again, you can just breathe or add the voiceless consonant. Voiced or a vowel. And if it helps you to think about the diaphragm, you could also use your hands as you breathe in and out. Hands come back up. So just try to explore breathing in some of these postures, in these ways. Trying it on the back is really, really useful though, and also trying to feel as calm as possible when you do it. And this will help to just isolate the muscles that you need to and not do too much. So I hope you found this useful. Let me know if you've got any questions in the comments, and don't forget to hit subscribe.